I'd love to read Wonder Woman comics, I'm just not sure where to start. That's easily the most common question and comment I get when I talk about Diana on here, and there's a pretty standard response to it, but I'm going to push back on it slightly because whilst I enjoy the Perez run, it is 4 decades old and no longer fully canon. So for lack of a better term, this is what I will be calling Wonder Woman the Cliff Notes. It is a collection of 28 single issues which can be found in 5 collected editions, which should still be widely accessible and are still largely canon. Now, if you'd like to find it nice and neatly collected in a little list, if you go there, it is under Wonder Woman Cliff Notes on League of Comic Geek. Now, the first collected edition that I'm going to recommend is Wonder Woman Year One. You can get the deluxe or the non-deluxe edition. They collect the same comics, which is Wonder Woman Rebirth issues 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. Now, if you're saying it's kind of funky that it's only the even issues, that's because the even issues told a continuous story and the odd issues told a continuous story. If you want, at some point you can go back and read the odd issues, but they deal largely with the New 52 continuity and thus aren't as relevant to current canon. The second recommendation is Nubia and the Amazons. This collects Nubia and the Amazons issue 1 through 6, and also some of Nubia's tales from Infinite Frontiers 0. If you really want, you can track down that single issue if you're reading it via single issues, but it's not as pertinent. This basically gives you everything you need to know about the Themysciran Amazons, about how they are born, or rather reborn, about how Themyscira came into being, and how Doom's Doorway functions. The third recommendation is Trial of the Amazons. Now, I would heavily recommend just getting the hardback for this if you're reading it in physical. If you want it, here is the list of the varying comics that show up, but because it was an event which crossed over the existing Wonder titles at the time, it can be a little funky trying to read from piece to piece. Now, Trial of the Amazons introduces the other 2 tribes of the Amazons, so the Escacida and the Bana Migdal, and helps explain sort of how the sisters separated and does some fascinating work into looking into the complexities of sisterhood and solidarity between women of very different experiences. The fourth recommendation is Nubia, Queen of the Amazons. This adds some depth into sisterhood and the complex relationship that Diana has with the monarchy in Themyscira. It also explains and shows you a newer Amazon having to deal with running and ruling the country and how she will forge forward with perhaps more empathy and compassion. The final recommendation is Wonder Woman Historia. Now, it is worth noting that Wonder Woman Historia isn't directly canon, however it does an awful lot to connect the Amazons' experiences to experiences of real-life women, and if you are somebody who has ever experienced or been perceived or been treated as a woman in man's world, I do find it horrifically poignant. Now, obviously I've mentioned how you can find them physically, but you also absolutely could find them on DCUI Ultra. All of these issues are, in fact, on there, and for the cost of basically a cup of coffee, you could get the subscription for a month and read all of them if you enjoy digital reading. Now, if you have absolutely nothing in the bank, I would recommend checking in with your public library. If you live in a place that has a public library system, they might already have these comics or be willing to purchase them for you. If you can't go in person, there are apps such as Hoopla and Libby, and I know a lot of libraries in the US also have websites where you can put in online requests. Now, if you end up reading those and really loving those, in the same place there's also a longer Wonder Woman reading list for first-time readers. It does have 260 issues on it, so that will probably take you quite some time.